This is a weird cheese that doesn't melt. And I want to know why. So here is the story how I went to Cyprus to find this cheese that led me to Egyptian tombs, the British war on goats, and the Stone Age. But first we need to drive to the mountains, to the village where the original halloumi is still being made on the farm. I found this family-run farm that make halloumi the traditional way, and I asked them if I can film it, and they said yes! Hello! Look at those sheep lining up to be milked. I'm gonna try to assist with this one. Happy animals usually mean lots of milk. This is going to be a mix of sheep and goat's milk, or agripovia in Greek. It is actually a special word that is very traditional for Cyprus, because halloumi in general is all about tradition on this island. But what does traditional mean here? Cyprus may appear to someone to be a tiny island with little or no history, but it's the exact opposite. People have been living here since, wait for it, the Stone Age. So I had to start my investigation that far. First humans came to Cyprus from the Near East and settled on the coast in the rock shelters like this. They certainly had no idea what dairy was. It was a different island back then, with dwarf hippos and dwarf elephants. I mean, milking wasn't really possible. Humans weren't really that technologically advanced yet. This is a Neolithic village near the city Limassol in Cyprus. This village, or settlement, rather, is 10,000 years old, and researchers tell us that there is a real evidence of dairy here. So, Cypriots have been milking their sheep and goats since 8000 BCE, but they couldn't make any cheese yet, until the invention of the cooking pots in the Bronze Age. Learning how to deal with bronze and ceramics was a crucial step for mankind. And this technological breakthrough took about 5,000 years. Talk about patience. The island's location also important here. Cypriots, located between the famous Phoenicians and Mycenaeans, were involved in extensive trade, and evidently all they traded were copper, sure, and pots. I really hoped to find some actual evidence of halloumi making tradition here. So I went to the biggest archaeological museum in Cyprus and examined every single pot. And I found that researchers have a theory that these big bowls were used to strain the whey from yogurt or cheese. But where are the receipts? I needed to talk to someone firsthand, so I joined the conf call with the actual archaeologist.
Any evidence of dairy processing?
Well, we would have to do lipid analysis, and we haven't done that yet. I'm sure that there might have been some, but yeah, we don't know.
So I had to jump another few thousand years ahead to find the first written evidence of cheese in Cyprus. So the first mention was in the 2nd century Greek erotic stories. But it still says nothing about the type of cheese. There is no mention of anything resembling halloumi for another 1,000 years, until this Venetian manuscript from 16th century. But what had been going on with cheese in Cyprus? Here is Loula and her daughter Maria, the owners and key operators of this halloumi farm, and they're about to make a morning batch of halloumi. Loula is adding rennet to the warm milk here to curdle it. Cypriots are quite religious, so they do this cross to commemorate Christ, and then leave the nature do its thing. So from now the process is very fast. Milk is heated, quickly thickens, then they take out the curds, put it in the molds, and press to get rid of all the liquid. Now we're gonna leave halloumi to rest for some time. What I'm looking at right now, the actual process of making it, is not very interesting and unusual, to be honest. I've seen it a million times. It's pretty much the same as, making Italian mozzarella, the same fresh cheese. If you would wanna grill mozzarella, you're up for a disaster. So I have no idea still why halloumi is like this, not being able to melt. I don't know, the cheese is now just resting, so the next step is probably packaging. Roasted halloumi definitely looks like, cheese. But the next step caught me off guard. What? This method is honestly something else. The cheese that is boiled twice in plastic bags. This also feels very modern, but Loula said that these bags are her innovative spin on the tradition. Before, her ancestors used to boil halloumi in small pieces of cloth. What's important is to put halloumi in something that can absorb the weight during the second boiling. This process makes halloumi heat-resistant, which is crucial in hot Cypriot climate. And Cyprus has always been hot. So what if we just have lost all the evidence, and this cheese-making tradition was there all along? For this very substantial amount of time, because a century later, in 17th century, another monk from Greece wrote down the whole process, the recipe of how to make it, how to store it, everything. He even mentions the double boiling and the heat-resistant properties. Finally, at that time, Cyprus was under the Ottoman control and the agriculture was flourishing. The island became a home of 800,000 sheep and goats by the end of 19th century. This is 4 times as many animals as were people living on the island at the time. Then the British came and started what the locals call the war on goats. There was an actual law called the Goats Law. It was established to provide for the reduction of the goats in Cyprus. So within a few decades, the population of the island's most significant animals decreased by nearly 500,000. They even brought cow's milk to the island, and some halloumi was starting to be manufactured with cow's milk. This island has been influenced by so many cultures that it kind of feels impossible now to untie the knot of halloumi's origins. Well, yes, people still maintain traditions here, but do big corporations do that? I needed to see the modern production of halloumi, but I was turned down. So I found a local cheese expert.
This was my job for 20 years. We say halloumi, we think that we mean one. Let's see, what's the difference here? Mature. You can break the glass.
But it's not traditional probably, right?
No, it's fine.
It is?
So is this the first?
There you go. No.
No?
This is halloumi that is kept in the way. It doesn't mean that it was made today. This is marketing again. It looks fresh. This is the traditional way of storing it in the way, not in the fridge.
Wait a minute. This sounds very familiar. This is the 14th century Egyptian cookbook called this. This is one of the oldest cookbooks that we have, and in this cookbook there is a recipe of enhancing halloum, which means cheese, by brining it. This all makes the perfect sense. I read a lot about Arab Bedouin cheese making, and even though they don't have anything resembling halloumi and all of the cheese is different, the process of making these cheeses is very similar. And given how close Cyprus is to Egypt, the climates are very similar. So I wouldn't be surprised if those societies created similar cooking methods to store their food in these very hot conditions without refrigerators. In fact, people in the southern Mediterranean area even double cook their bread. So I think halloumi could be much older than we have evidence for.
Normally, abroad, you will find this one. But all I'm interested nowadays, after the designated origin idea, is this. If I have this, it means that the cheese has been produced in Cyprus, the animals are from Cyprus, and the most important thing, this is where everybody makes a mistake.
Okay.
The raw material to make cheese is not the milk. It's what the animal eats.
This may seem obvious, but I actually never thought of milk like that. You can have the same method, technology, and even animals, but nature and everything around are different. Sheep grazing in green lush fields in northern Europe will undoubtedly produce milk that is very different from that of these humble animals living in 40 degrees heat. So it's not only technology that creates tradition, but it's also nature. We've decided to cook several types of halloumi to see it in action. Pampos invited me to his family home. This is Maria, his mother. She was so kind to offer to prepare local Cypriot dishes with halloumi for us. We cooked both fresh and aged halloumi, and all of it is definitely heat-resistant and incredibly delicious. But food isn't just about taste, it is also about history and culture. And experiencing all of that together is truly amazing. So I hope you enjoy the story of this Asian cheese as much as I enjoy grilling it now every single weekend. It is actually the best companion for a Friday night grill. This is a weird beer. What is it?
It's Belgian.